Football, the NFL is back. Like actual regular season is back tomorrow. You have Thursday night football. The Chiefs going up against the Lions. I'll give my week 1 predictions a little bit later, but as the season was approaching, as for people that's been following me, I have been doing I did a divisional breakdown of every division in football. I broke down every team. I said why this team's going to be good, why this team's not really going to be good, what expectations, what division's the best, what division's the worst. Last episode, I gave my top 10 players in football that I think are going to be this year. And this episode, the episode right before game 1 of the NFL season, I'm going to give my NFL predictions as far as awards. Who's going to win the rookie offensive player of the year, who's going to win the MVP, who's going to win the Super Bowl. That is what this is today. And where I'm going to start is the offensive rookie of the year. I think that it's very easy to say, hey, maybe it might go to a Bryce Young. Maybe it might go to a C.J. Stroud. I was really looking at – I was squinting my eyes really hard at Zay Flowers because I think that he's going to be very dynamic for the Baltimore Ravens. But I think that the player that's going to get the most volume and the player that I've heard honestly nothing but solid reports about this training camp, this offseason, has been Bijan Robinson. I think the last thing that the Falcons want to do is put a lot of pressure and a lot of plays really in Desmond Ritter's on his shoulders. And when you have a weapon like Bijan Robinson, I think he's going to get a high volume of carries. While, yes, the offensive line isn't the best, I do think that he has the skill set, kind of the elusiveness, maybe like a Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to be incredible. And I have all the faith in the world that he is going to be good. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. Obviously, that's the goal. So I think that Bijan Robinson is I have him winning the offensive rookie of the year. Then you have the defensive rookie of the year. I think that there's no other defensive player in a better position on a better team than Jalen Carter and the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that Jalen Carter has the ability to be game-changing day one, especially when you pair him alongside Jordan Davis. We know about, of course, the Georgia connection. And I think, to me, Jalen Carter, going into the draft, I thought that he was the best defensive player in the draft. Of course, we know about the off-the-field issues that kind of caused him to slide down the draft. But I think that the Philadelphia Eagles have the best defensive player in the draft, and I think he's going to be great. I have Jalen Carter winning the defensive rookie of the year. To me, there's not a better position and not a better team that he can be in, and that he's needed in more than the Philadelphia Eagles, especially when you see how many of their defensive players left to go to a different team or retired or something. So I think that Jalen Carter is going to win the defensive rookie of the year. Let's go to offensive player of the year. And this is usually the award that goes to the non-quarterback. We know that the MVP usually goes to the quarterback. There are, very rare years that maybe a running back or another type of player gets it, but usually the MVP is a quarterback. And usually the offensive rookie or offensive player of the year either goes to a wide receiver or a running back or maybe even a tight end. I think this year, and I talked about it a little bit last episode when I was talking about Justin Jefferson. I was talking about how rich the league is right now in wide receivers. I mean, just the AFC alone, you have Jamar Chase, you have Stephon Diggs, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Devontae Adams. It's going to be such a great time. Or not going to be. It is such a great time for wide receivers. And the names that I just named outside of Justin Jefferson is just in the AFC. And I think that, to me, I said last episode that Justin Jefferson was the best wide receiver in football. I think a lot, the quarterback helps the case a lot, especially for when you talk about every single wide receiver. There's a lot of reasons why I think that Devontae Adams still has the ability to be the best wide receiver in football. The problem is, however, he plays for a quarterback that, hell, you don't know health-wise if he's going to be there, in Jimmy Garoppolo. DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's played with lesser talent than Ryan Tannehill and has matriculated multiple 1,000-yard seasons, he hasn't done that in the last, 2 years, maybe 1 year. I don't know how he's going to fare in Tennessee. I think that the rookie or the offensive player of the year is going to go to Jamar Chase because he's playing alongside Joe Burrow. I think that, to me, like I said, that doesn't take away, and I still think that maybe Justin Jefferson is probably the best wide receiver in football, but when you're playing alongside, when you have the wide receiver core, that's it. When you're playing next to a T. Higgins, and when you're playing next to a Tyler Boyd, when you're playing next to a Joe Mixon, and you have Joe Burrow throwing you the ball, I think that just if he's able to stay healthy, that just enhances Jamar Chase's options. And his Justin Jefferson may be better in my opinion, but he's pretty much the only thing that outside of T.J. Hawkinson, that outside of the wide receiver core, that the Vikings have. And I think that you're going to see a lot of triple team or double teams, and I just think the numbers are going to look better for Jamar Chase. So I have Jamar Chase winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. People that saw my last episode, they know that I think that Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in football. And kind of like, to a lesser extent, kind of like wide receivers, this is a great time for defensive players. Even though the rules to the game have leaned heavily to offensive side of the ball, there are some incredible talents on the defensive side of the ball, whether we talk about T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, you have Jalen Ramsey when he comes back from injury, you have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. This is just a rich time, and like I've said on several occasions, we're in the golden age as far as talent in sports, and it would be easy for me to pick Nick Bosa to be the defensive player of the year, but I don't know how long his holdout's going to be. That's another thing that we're seeing in the league right now. We're seeing a lot of players not happy about their contract situation or just their team situation, i.e. Chandler Jones. We see him going off on social media, yesterday or 2 days ago? Yesterday. We talked about Austin Eckler wanting to demand a trade, Jonathan Taylor demanding a trade. You know what I'm saying? So we are holdouts and trade demands are going to be a highlight this year as far as the season and how it plays out. And how the defensive player of the year played out to me is also going to, be affected by holdouts, because I don't know how long Nick Bosa is going to hold out. And because of that, I think that Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Year after year after year, he continues to get better. And I just think that he is the most integral piece to the Dallas Cowboys, especially defensively, most integral piece to their success this year. Outside of Dak Prescott, the second most important person on this Cowboys team, you can argue, is Micah Parsons. And while I did want to, I wouldn't be upset if, like I said, Aaron Donald came back to form, because I do think that he's going to have a resurging year after being injured last year, or towards the end of last year. And hell, Nick Bosa can come back week 2 and just wreck the league. Who knows? But I just think that the success of the Dallas Cowboys is predicated on pretty much 3 people: Dak Prescott, Zach Martin, and Micah Parsons. And I think that Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Now you got the MVP. And it's very easy, of course, to go the usuals, to go Patrick Mahomes, to go Joe Burrow. I think that, don't get me wrong, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a good year, and he's going to have a very interesting year, seeing as though the weapons that he has are really unproven. So we're really going to see how great Patrick Mahomes really is. I'm not saying that should be in question, but you with the talent that you have, it's very it's not the best. And of course Joe Burrow, he's going to be great. I think that it's a cheat code when you have that type of those weapons around you. I'm interested to see what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like. Of course, Jalen Hurts, he could have a great year like he did last year. Maybe Dak Prescott can surprise a lot of people like myself. But I think that this is a very important and very big year for Lamar Jackson in general. And Lamar Jackson has gotten better year after year after year statistically. Now, there's a lot of people that still think Lamar Jackson can't throw the ball. To me, at this point, the only thing that's going to change those people's minds is if Lamar Jackson throws for like 6,000 yards a season. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think that this is the first time that Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, has capable weapons on the outside of Mark Andrews. And even with just Mark Andrews, and I know you had Marquise Brown, but just Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson was able to be one of the youngest players, if not the youngest player in NFL history, to win the MVP. I think that, you're hearing all the noise. You're hearing a lot of people say that he can't stay healthy. He just got his money, so that's not on his mind. And you have a competent wide receiver core. I think that this is the year that Lamar Jackson is going to take that step, or the next step. And he still has steps to take, obviously, but even with that, he's already won an MVP. I think he's going to win his second MVP this year. I think the AFC is stacked. And to me, the AFC is far more superior than the NFC right now. There are some good NFC teams, but a lot of those NFC teams that are good, or that we think are going to be good, have more question marks, in my opinion, than the AFC teams. Like the Eagles. Last year you had the easiest schedule. Now you have the hardest. How are they going to fare, especially with a lot of their defensive players gone? The Dallas Cowboys, is this going to be the year that they don't fumble the bag at some point of the season? What are the 49ers going to look like with Brock Purdy? What are they going to look like, their quarterback position? And when is Nick Bosa going to come back? So I just think that something in my soul thinks that Lamar Jackson is going to ball this year. And hell, even with everyone hurt last year, he still, before Lamar Jackson, of course, got hurt, he had the Ravens number 1 in the AFC. So I think Lamar Jackson is going to win this year's MVP. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.